How's your experience been with custom built basses? You mentioned Jonas's bass earlier on,
Oh,
and how produced basses can sound so similar, like you say. What's the difference for you when you pick up a bass that's been crafted by hand like that, to that spec?
I met him like 4 or 5 years ago at a NAMM show. A friend of mine, Freddie Villano, who was working for Warwick at the time, and we go way back because I used to give him lessons at Musicians Institute. And he goes, hey man, you got to meet this dude Jonas Hellborg. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to meet Jonas Hellborg. So he introduces me to him, and Jonas goes, oh, I want you to play my bass. I think you'll get it. And he just knew. Maybe he knew my band, or maybe Freddie told him something about me. I don't know. But he goes, I think you dig it. And he comes out and he hands it to me, and I'm like, I was like, I really didn't want to play in front of him because it's Jonas Hellborg. And I just go, all right. So I start playing, and I just went, whoa. Because one, I'm nervous and I don't want to play in front of him. Two, I hadn't been playing or shedding. So I was like, I just didn't think I was going to play well in front of him. But I started playing his instrument, and immediately the connection is like, this bass is inspiring you. Just rip, and it doesn't matter that he's standing in front of you. And I start playing stuff that I don't normally play, and I'm just ripping, and I just look at him, I go, yes, I get this. And he goes, you got to get one. And his strings, he has his own strings that I forget who makes them, but he has his own strings that go well with the bass, and it's 32 inches, so it's not 34 stuck out here anymore, because like I've spent my whole career out here. Even just doing that hurts. Like when you're 32, so it's here, so you feel, it's a little bit better. But it's just super expressive. And really it's the articulation is here, and it gets articulated so well through the instrument. Like my fretless, my Fender, I gotta work hard as hell to get my tone and my sound out of it. It's like wrestling with it. It's beautiful and it's fun, but it's a bitch. And with Jonas's, it was effortless. And it's almost like there's things I can do on there that I couldn't do on my Fender. And so 4.5 years ago, I asked Hans Peter, owner of Warwick, I go, can I get one of these? He goes, yes, let's start. We'll start the conversation and let's see what happens. And then 4 years later, I still don't have a Jonas Hellborg bass. Maybe someday he'll put one under my pillow and I'll be the luckiest dude in the world.
What are your impressions of the facility here?
Oh man, it's awesome here. It's crazy. It's for instruments, but man, it could also be like if you were doing some kind of high-tech, research for, pharmaceuticals or something. It's just so intense, and really, really well designed. And I hear it's like self-sufficient. I think the solar power, he powers everything himself. It's the way, it's modern thinking, which is really, really cool.
The bass itself has come a long way in 50 odd years.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going next?
I've been talking to a few of these dudes. I really think that it's going the opposite way. You have all these 34 inches or 35 inch 5 strings and stuff, and I think it's going the other way. I don't think it's a new thing. It started a while ago, but because they've always had short scale basses. But I think dudes played them because they were maybe guitar players, and so it felt comfortable to play that, or maybe they're smaller bodied guys. But not everybody is Felix Pastorius, who's just got these gigantic hands and this amazing physical facility, and he's 6 foot whatever, so every bass looks small on him. I'm a little dude. I spent, stretching my arm out. So I have all these weird quirks in my shoulder now from 30 some odd years of being out here. But really, naturally, it's just people have been gravitating towards short scale. And a friend of mine, Owen Biddle, he's the first dude I had read about. He has this Cal Hill bass that's a 30 inch 5 string. And I went, oh, that looks goofy. I bet it sounds awful. I don't know why I would think that. I guess because I just don't like active electronics and 5 string basses. And then I heard him and I went, wait a sec, I'm probably a complete idiot and he's probably right dead on with this. So then a friend of mine, Tim LaFay, has one and he loaned me it. I went, this is where it's at, the short scale. The low end fundamental is totally different. So when you hear this, it can sound like a piano string. It's super tight. If you looked at a meter, it would probably be like that. When you hit a 30 inch 5 string note, that thing is, the fundamental wave is just way different, bigger sounding. And Owen was right. It's a different beast. And so I think everything's going that way. I own half of my basses are either medium or short scale basses because they record. I mean, look at those little Kayla basses. They're like this big with the rubber strings. I use those on hip hop things all the time. The producers in hip hop are just like, that is the shit. We want more of that because it's like 808 sounding. It's deeper, it's bigger, it's different. We're not going for piano anymore. That's like 90s, 80s, whatever. Like now it's like, it's give 'em boom. And so I think that's where it's headed. And I'm excited about it. I have a Kayla fretless that I use a ton on recordings. I mean, Jonas's bass, 32 inches. I think it's going this way, and I think it's going to help the instrument. You know, I mean, you have to constantly evolve it because otherwise you're going to be playing the lute, you know, and the lute, nobody plays the lute anymore. So I don't want the bass to become that. I want it to continue to survive and persevere. And if it just stays the same fourth string, you know, I don't know. I don't have interest in that. I mean, there always will be an audience for it, but I won't be interested. I want it to evolve. So we'll see, you know, let's see where it goes.
And so obviously the way people listen to music these days has changed a lot too. Your knowledge of effects, how has that helped reach the audience in a new way, do you think?
I have my website, pedalsandeffects.com, and this friend of mine, well, we met through social media. He always would comment on stuff, and he seemed really nice, and so I started following him, and I'm like, well, you know, what is this big situation he's involved with? I don't know who it is, but some girl named Ellie Goulding, who apparently is this gigantic star from England, and he plays bass in her band. And so I interviewed him for my website, and he was showing me all these weird pedal combinations, and I go, you use this with her? And he goes, yeah, because he was playing the Staples Center, which is the biggest arena you can play in Los Angeles, with her, sold out. And he goes, yeah, man, they encouraged me to do this. And I was like, what? And like really wild sounds. He goes, yeah, I just heard the synths on the record, and I said, well, this sounds kind of similar in the same ballpark. And they were like, yeah, we love it. So I just think if Ellie Goulding can take that kind of risk, then there's like Kanye should be taking that kind of risk, and Kendrick Lamar should be, I mean, every big pop artist, Beyonce, whatever, Jay-Z, they should all be taking chances on this shit, as opposed to the same fucking program synth bullshit. Like, let us have a little bit of that. Like, you know, because he plays synth in the band, but he's playing affected bass, which is not going to sound like anything else. It won't. Like, since all, like, you know, you have the Moog Voyager, you're going to sound like a Moog Voyager. You know, granted, you have to know how to really dial in the sounds, but with the bass, you know, man, it's going to sound so different because your hands sound different, your instrument sounds different, going into the effects, you know, and how you use it's going to be different. So I just think that we can have a really big impact, but we got to hang there with them. I mean, there's going to be those artists that want traditional bass, and then they're going to want some synth bass, and then they're going to want something else. And then that's where I'm hoping I can prepare fellow musicians, you know, like, if you get this gig, incorporate it, you know? Like, I'm doing hip hop gigs right now where I do wild stuff, and they're into it. So, you know, we kind of have to just assert ourselves, as opposed to, you know, just, you know, hoping that, oh, I hope this old traditional bass comes back. It's not. It's everything evolves. So, like, jump in this, like, get in this world of pedals and stuff, and be prepared, and learn that. You know, I practice my keyboard playing just in case, because I know they're going to go, we want synth bass in this. It just has to be synth bass. You better know how to do it. You know, a lot of classes. I mean, as music schools, I teach at this one in Pasadena, Los Angeles Music Academy, and they have a class that they teach synth bass. I think Jonathan Herrera teaches it. So, yeah, man, you gotta evolve, or you won't be working. You know what I mean?
Especially with the amount of other electronic sounds and in pop
totally.
stuff, especially, you know, even electronic drums or whatever's on track.
I mean, look at Square Pusher, man. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many dudes out there helping you see the light. So you just got to be open to it, you know, for sure. You got to be open to it. I mean, unless if jazz is your thing, but even jazz, I mean, look at guys like Tim LaFay. He's evolving his sound, and he uses effects, and he plays jazz, you know? I mean, why not? I mean, dabble into it a little. Like, I just don't think you should be shut off to it, you know? Like, you know, you weren't shut off when you were younger listening to Miles, and then you weren't shut off, you know, when you were listening to Funkadelic, and you weren't shut off listening, you know, to hip hop or whatever. You know, you gotta stay open. You know, I get frustrated when I'm around like dudes my age that are just like, oh, you know, the old days. Like, man, fuck the old days. I don't give a fuck what happened in the old days. It happened already. I'm down with what's happening with kids. Like, what they're into, it's their generation, it's their world. Like, let them do their thing. You know, you complaining about it's not gonna make them go, oh, you know what, let's abandon what we're doing and do what the old dudes did. It's never gonna happen, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, evolve, progress, and move the art form forward, you know what I mean? For sure.
Okay guys, so thanks very much to Juan for spending some time with us. There are gonna be some more videos going up on the YouTube channel pretty soon, so stay tuned. Thanks.
Thanks.
Hold on.